All right, we're in the process of going live.
Okay.
We are live, Madam Mayor. It is 9:03.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the pre-agenda meeting of March 23rd. I've lost track. I'm on vacation. Good morning, everyone. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes, Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga. All right, we're in the. I don't see her
I'll
yet.
text her. I'll text her.
Okay, Commissioner Christopher McVoy,
Present.
Commissioner Kimberly Stokes,
Here.
Vice Mayor Herman Robinson. He is absent at the moment.
I wanted to get my phone so I can text Sarah to see if she's gone. Good morning, everybody. Whoop.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I am going to take the first shot at this meeting, and Carmen and I attended yesterday a Zoom meeting with Lois Frankel, and it was all about funding and federal funding. And they keep talking about billions and millions of dollars available for infrastructure, different things. One of the things that they really emphasized was the timing of these, or the application for these is very, very time constrained. By the end of April, we have to have applications in. There are websites that we're getting directed to, who to ask for. It's water, it's infrastructure, it's the end of April. So I'm going to ask Carmen and whoever else, Carmen, well, to follow up with, how do we get that? Because this is something I've been banging on for a long time. If we, and maybe we dedicate a staff member, somebody's, this is the thing they emphasize, there has to be a person who knows what's going on.
Yes,
So that we know,
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Today I will meet with the full department head team members. And so we will talk about that. I will share the information that we received from the Congresswoman, and then we will dig into them from the department levels.
That's great, because it's really exciting to hear. And you don't want that to, I appreciate that. So if we could kind of get an update on that, like at the next commission meeting, so we know that I'm a little afraid of missing a
Absolutely, yes. I'm very conscious of the deadline. She indicated that the applications are due in by the end of April.
Right.
So we need to act very quickly.
Yeah. So other than that, congratulations on the election. I look forward to, it's going to be an interesting, we're used to Herman. And so and we as a body are going to get used to Mr. Diaz. And I'm sure everyone's going to work together and keep going and get this city going forward. The swearing in, I love it. It's being done at Bryant Park again. I think that's a tradition that we started last year that we're going to keep up with, so that every election is a celebration for the city. And we're going to be there when he gets sworn in, unlike what we experienced last year. So I guess, is that Monday at what time?
6
6
p.m., Madam Mayor.
6 p.m. Okay, great, thank you. So that's exciting, that's big. Where the four of us have been working together for a year now, and we had a little talk the other day about working together, and it's I appreciate everybody, and I promise not to be so mean to Chris. I thought about that, Chris, what we talked about, and what I realized was I was reacting to when that was happening. It was the add-ons. It wasn't the content. It was more the add-ons. So I think we've got that all straightened out now, and I'm glad to hear it. What does anybody else have to say? Let's start with Commissioner McVoy.
Yes, good morning. I think we can, as a town, congratulate ourselves at pretty good participation in the runoff election. That I haven't looked in detail at the numbers, but I think they're fairly close to the March 8th election numbers, which is impressive. Usually runoffs drop off a lot.
Right.
So that's good. And seems like we had a pretty clear message in that, which is good too. And I look forward to working together as a new group, as the mayor mentioned, we have become accustomed, we've grown accustomed to Commissioner Robinson, and now we have to grow unaccustomed and redirect a little bit. I'm sure we'll do fine at that. I'm glad that you mentioned the grants, and the city manager and I had spoken about that in our meeting, that the grant sort of has two sides. The money that's available at the federal level, that I don't know if it'll be called a grant process, but something, an application process. And we talked about that it's important not only to have somebody who does the application, but we need to also have somebody who's project manager who makes sure that we comply with whatever we promise to do. And we should think about that. I'd like to challenge all of us on the commission to, in parallel with what the city manager is doing with the department heads, let's, when you want to make a grocery list, it's always easy to remember the stuff that you think of, and hard to remember, oh yeah, what else was it? I knew I need something else. Let's, as a commission, make a list of things that we can think of that are needs around the city, and share that with the city manager, and she can match that up with what the department has. And hopefully between us, we don't let things fall too much through the cracks.
If I can just add to that, we can
Sure.
get you the website they're going to email us a list of things, and some of that will be websites which talk about what grants are available, so that people, everybody can kind of look at it and see, I think this is a need and here's a grant to do it, just if you have any spare time. Yeah, great.
Another one that's high on my list is, it's been ongoing since I became on the commission, concerns from residents about quality of life issues that require enforcement, that we usually have some sort of ordinance that, or resolution, I guess ordinance mostly, or charter that applies. And unfortunately, the enforcement arm, at least in many residents' eyes, falls short. Two things that come to mind are traffic law enforcement. One that we all are very aware of is not stopping at the stop signs, not at the stop signs, at the red lights that don't have a no turn on red, or that do have a no turn on red. But traffic ordinances in general in the city, there's a perception, I think probably valid, that PBSO doesn't enforce those very well or very actively. And the other is, that's a quality of life one, is noise related things. The ice cream truck I hear about quite a bit, and apparently there are now two. All of this, where I'm going with it a bit, is that it's about the time of year, and maybe the city manager can remind us the schedule of when we review and make any adjustments to the PBSO contract. City manager, do you happen to know when that will be coming to us, if it's planned?
I
just
don't
did
know
last year.
Right, I have to search the date that it expires, and I know we definitely will be reviewing it in the budget, and I believe we should be receiving another update from PBSO as well. So we have different points of dates that we will be engaging with the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office is concerning their contract and their activities. So I will get that exact date for you, Commissioner.
Yes, I would appreciate that. I remember last year that it was about April or May that we reviewed it. And I think there was some unhappiness on the commission that it just sort of went by, and we approved quite a large increase financially, and we reviewed the content essentially not at all. I would definitely like us this year to do that very differently, that we all, maybe again as commissioners, think about what we've heard from residents and make a list of adjustments that we think might be needed to the contract, whether it's some clarification of what they will and won't enforce, some clarification on how accountability might be increased. I think these are things that each of us as commissioners and mayor can put some thought into, and let's approach the review process quite carefully this year.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to actually, all of us, sit down and take, some of that stuff that we're talking about might be in there. I mean, so I think we should, before we talk about making changes, let's find out what's in there. Because it seems like traffic enforcement is a fairly basic thing that officers I mean, and then I agree with you, because the noise thing is an issue. The noise
Docks.
downtown is,
Don't
What?
forget the docks,
the docks.
the
Yep.
docks with the boats that are parking the overnight.
Well, are they illegal? I mean, I don't know.
It's day parking only, right? So, or
I
day
don't
docking.
know if we have jurisdiction. I don't know who rules that.
Right.
Juan?
We contractually agreed with either the county or the inland waterway that we would take care of the enforcement. So it's on us.
It's like a transitive, like the county gave the responsibility to us, but we partner with PBSO to take care of all of our like law enforcement needs. So is that included or not? Or is that?
Do you not
something
like the
that's in
boats there,
code?
Kim? Are you,
What?
I mean, I'm curious because I have a mixed emotions, because when I go across the bridge and I see all the sailboats, it looks pretty nice.
But no,
And
they
I-
can be anchored off
Oh,
of
anchored, but not on the
coast,
docks.
but they're not supposed to be
Okay,
on the docks overnight. Yeah.
thanks. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I will
Because I had
follow
a
up with
question,
Captain.
because I saw all those boats, and the other day I said on Facebook, I love the boats, but where's all the poop going? And I was assured, because that's my concern, right? And one of the guys who I guess has a boat out there said they have a compostable toilet that they use, and it doesn't go in the intercoastal. So because that's really just my concern, is what's going in the water. I think it looks pretty nice when you come over the bridge and there's all these sailboats there.
Mhm.
Thanks for the clarification, Kim.
Madam Mayor?
Ma'am.
So while we've been talking, I pulled up the last addendum. The contract with PBSO is good through September 30th. It renews on October 1st.
Okay,
It was approved last year at the August 3rd meeting. And just so you know, all of the addendums were now on the 11th. The addendums are generally like 2 pages and don't go into what services there are, et cetera. I would be happy, at the direction of the city manager, to email everybody the PBSO original contract and the latest addendum. And so everyone can review it and see what's in there for just refreshing. If that's okay with you, Carmen, I'd be happy to do that later today.
oh, absolutely, that'd be great. Thank you, Melissa, for looking that up for us.
Thank
Yes,
you.
my pleasure.
So Chris, we interrupted you.
Yeah, and to your suggestion, Mayor, that we look at the contract, I would encourage a parallel approach, that we look at in our minds what we hear from residents as concerns, and look at the contract and make adjustments on that.
Yep.
The other one that I have is a number of cities around the country have looked at gas-powered leaf blowers and done some research on it. Something that I was not particularly aware of is that the emissions from the things are not insignificant. I tend to be unhappy about them at a noise level, but there is also a CO2 emissions, and they don't have very clean engines, so they burn dirty in addition to the CO2. I believe Palm Beach has banned them altogether, gas-powered blowers, and switched over to electric. I think it's something that I'd like us to look into, and I'll provide some backup information, but it's something that we should definitely put some attention to. It's seemingly small thing, but it's significant as part of, it's more significant than one might have thought, and it's significant as part of what we as a city are about.
I agree,
Do they
Chris.
have? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna just say, I would love to know if there's any opportunity to like create a little small grant out, because ARPA funds is supposed to be used to help and a variety of issues like that. And if like $50,000, I'm just making up a number. I don't know how big or small that number would be in a grant for like either buybacks or like trying to get our local businesses and lawn care companies to exchange their gas powered for electric. Is there something that we can do to show our support, a small token to say, we understand that this could impact certain businesses, but we're all in this together to make this switch, because I do believe it's an important switch.
Do they have commercial grade electric? Are they rechargeable, or do they have a cord?
Yep. No, cord's not very practical. So yes, there are commercial grade ones.
Okay, and I would add to that, then I think that's great, because they are noisy as heck, but I would add, if we're gonna talk about leaf blowers, I see the city people as well, they just blow it all into the street. So while I don't think we should outlaw leaf blowers, I think we should address the fact that they just blow it into the road, and it just goes, so that it should be bagged and disposed of properly if you're gonna use them.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Mayor, the city should really set the example of what we want the residents to follow.
Yeah, and it's not part of our ordinance, but I think if we're gonna be looking at that ordinance, that would be something I'd like to add, because it makes me crazy when it becomes, the intercoastal problem.
Well,
Okay.
And the intercoastal might not be quite so bad, but it plugs up our drains a lot.
Oh, everything, yeah. I also want to look, we've mentioned the golf course and what they use for pesticides and fertilizer and stuff at the golf course, just with long grass lines. I don't know if we've ever found out from what the company uses, and maybe this would be a good year, now that we've caught our breath a little bit, to see if we can get that change, to a more natural way to do it.
When is
And-
Earth Day? Is that in April?
It's usually in April, sort of the third week of April, is my recollection. And
Yeah, my daughter was supposed to get married on Earth Day, but somebody had the date. Let me Google it. I'll let you know in a minute.
It's coming up quickly, but I know we've talked about how great it would be to do these educational campaigns and do things. We celebrate, like every
April
month we
22nd.
celebrate something. It would be awesome if, like, on Earth Day, we could announce a few initiatives that we're taking as a city to help the earth and our planet.
April 22nd, Madam Commissioner.
Okay. And if we had any, I don't know if that's too quick, but if we are looking into it and we know that we have consensus and we're moving forward on it, we can at least announce what we're intending to do, even if it's not finalized yet.
Doesn't Ted Bronstein organize, or, it used to be Brian, but he's gone, the Earth Day celebration? There has been every year some Earth Day celebration.
Right, Lauren, do you know what's going on? Because I know that when the Scottish Rite Center was open, we had
Right.
something there, and I think it's bounced around.
It's been at the Cultural Plaza before, I'm quite sure.
yep,
Earth-
I think it's been in Bryant Park on occasion.
Lauren here, maybe she can let us know the plans for this year.
Good morning.
morning.
So in the past it was Brian, but
Okay.
we don't have an application in currently for anybody to do an Earth Day event at this time. And Madam Mayor, I did want to address the golf course list. We actually had this conversation probably 2-3 years ago when we had the issue with Roundup, and the golf course did change to a more natural chemical compound. I can get that name for you. I apologize. I'm not going to try to say it because it's going to be laughable if I try to, but I can get you guys the entire list of all the
That'd be great.
chemicals that the golf course uses.
It's not a pop quiz, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren. If you could provide us with both the pesticides and the fertilizers that they use, and fertilizers application rate is helpful. It is an issue because we're on sand and our water, we're right on the water, so it's pretty
Right.
easy for us to get into the intercoastal. Something to be aware of is that Audubon Society does have a golf course program. However, the last time I looked into it, it was considered by soil physicists and folks that think about movement of contaminants to not be very strong, unfortunately. So we may have to look at it a little more detailed.
I actually looked at that with our previous park super probably about 7 or 8 months ago. It's extremely costly and there's a lot of changes that we would have to make to the golf course that we're just not ready to make at this time. You have to have like a natural wood area on the course, certain size. I believe there's something that has to do with bees that we have to add to the course. When we looked at it, we were just not ready to proceed with that, nor could we afford it. But I did look at it.
If you could share with us anything that, not right now, but anything that you have in the way of documentation, I think that would be helpful
Yeah, of course.
on the certification, because as I say, it sounds good, the Audubon one, but folks who check into it had some questions about it. So even that might not be quite there, but it's worth looking at. On the Earth Day, I've participated over the last 20 years, a couple different places, some up the state at a nature center whose name I don't remember, but it's a ways up. I've also done it at the Unitarian Universal Church, I think in Boca, I believe. They organized one that had some quite strong educational and environmental content. If we do it, I would encourage us to not do it as just kind of kumbayage, but actually do have some strong educational and maybe some initiatives that we're
I have to question who we is at the Ms. Bennett, in all deference to our wonderful leisure services staff. Who's we? Kemosabe.
Yes.
Because I know it's been a private group. This I don't think the city's ever done it. I always think it's been it's either Ted Bronstein's group or
Does somebody need to reach out to Ted or see if anybody is concerning that we don't have any? I don't know what time of year they usually submit their applications.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so Madam Mayor, if it's being suggested that the city head up an Earth Day program, is that what we're saying? I'm not sure if our
I'm going to defer to my commissioners.
I
think it's
think
great.
we need to have something. It feels very last minute to have the city take on something like this. That's traditionally been done by an outside group, but
Right.
I think we need to find out.
Yeah, that's
If
my
somebody's
concern,
planning
the
something.
timing of it all. But if there's a group that normally does that, I think we can reach out to see if there's some efforts going on, but I'm not sure if the timing would, we can put on an adequate program.
Maybe we could partner with
weeks.
them if they're like, oh, we can only, give half the energy that we do in the past. Maybe we can find, we just need to find out from Brian or Ted. Do we have, are you in
Lauren, do you have a
communication with them, Lauren?
contact?
I can take that on. I will
Okay.
reach out to Ted.
Thank you.
Don't burn yourself out, Lauren.
I
We
will
need you.
take on reaching out to Ted.
Yeah, there's one year I had the taiko drummers up. It was a nice event. There was a few things. One was up at the Mason Temple, Mason Jar. Okay, thank you. Chris, anything else? It's 9:30, it's 9:30.
Nope. I'm good.
I'm very happy, very impressed.
Madam Mayor?
Yep.
I know this is small potatoes, but I can add a proclamation to the April 19th meeting recognizing Earth Day. In fact, I already did it, but.
And I need to, thank you. And the second meeting in April, I've got to get you the Art Deco proclamation I'm working on. Art Deco, it's a proclamation. Do you
I
have it?
believe you sent me something already.
Okay, maybe I did.
I believe you sent me something and I already put it into our format. Why don't I email you back what I have?
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Things
I
have
do
been a
have
little
3
hectic.
things.
Okay.
I'm gonna actually want to share my screen if I can.
Ooh, fancy.
Speaking of Earth Day, I got this email back from a few of our environmentalist
Yes.
type of
I think I took it.
residents about the Mayor's Monarch Pledge and I love monarchs. I think we all, like, I know a lot of people that plant milkweed and value
Yeah.
our butterfly gardens and things like that. So I did look into it. It is time sensitive because they want us to take the pledge by March 31st, but the pledge is just what you want to do to help with this effort. And then you have time to implement it. So I did look through their right here. They had this whole sample of things. So this is for you, Betty. Where if you could fill this out,
Yep.
and then there's a, sorry for all the scrolling, but there is a huge list of selected action items. So what this group, the National Wildlife Foundation, is asking all the cities to do is to choose 3 of these. So I did sit down with Lauren because I wanted to make sure if we are pledging to do something, we actually have the staff and the bandwidth and capability of doing it. And we identified 3 things that would be pretty small lifts. So one of them was like a photo contest that she could throw, like a quick Facebook, get it out to the neighborhood associations, take pictures of your butterfly gardens and milkweed or whatever and submit your photo. So that's an easy promotional lift that Lauren was excited about doing. Lauren just happened to also be in conversations with some of our local master gardeners who have been wanting to get butterfly bushes on city property. So those conversations were kind of already happening, and this was just maybe another driver of that. So I reached out to Dave McGrew, and him and Lauren are identifying with the tree board possible areas in the city we could do that. So that would be a second thing we could pledge to do. And the last thing, Lauren said she knows a lot of local artists and could have one of them paint, some sort of butterfly artwork on like, you can explain it better, Lauren, on a box. That sounds very unsophisticated coming from me. And maybe add a small educational component to it. So Lauren's on here. She's assured me that she has the ability to tackle these 3 initiatives. So I just wanted to bring it up from the group because if we all agree that this is something we can get on board with, then Betty, I would like you to try to.
No, absolutely. I saw that. I'm glad you brought that up. I haven't really had time to do it, and I think it's great. So I will fill it out. Just give me the, I'll have to do it on the city, well, I have my iPad with me, but just tell me which ones I should check in terms of what we're going to do. Just email me somebody and I'll fill it out. I love it. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Great.
I'm gonna go to Amelia's arty plants and make believe that's my garden.
Yeah, I was telling Lauren, like I got into a really vicious cycle a few years ago. My kids were into watching the caterpillars go into the chrysalis, and we got the little butterfly homes, and they would eat all the milkweed, and then they would lay new eggs, and I'd have new caterpillars and no food. So I go to buy more milkweed,
and they're gone
and then
because
more
everybody needs
more milkweed. I'm like, when is this ever going to stop?
And then there's a special kind of milkweed you're not supposed to get because it's not good for them.
I know. I'm like, these monarchs, I think, are very picky eaters too. And Amelia's would sell out of milkweed during certain times a year. So we already have some people that are very involved in this. And
that's great. I'm thinking, where Susan Gaio over by the golf course, in front of their condo, that whole strip there, that might be a good place because it's visible, and we have dedicated gardeners over there. So maybe that would be a place. All right, great. I'll take them. I'll do.
That's actually who I spoke with. Susan was the first person I spoke with a few months ago about possibly putting these plants in our parks. So I'm going to work with Dave, the tree board, and then I would like to bring Susan as a part of the conversation as well.
You're so smart. Thank you.
And then the second thing that I'm thinking about that I was hoping to get consensus from the commission is I've learned about these community fridge ideas a little while ago. I've had people ask, is the city willing to do something like this? I'm like, I don't think we can take this on, but all over the country, there's these little community fridges popping up, and it's usually done by like a mutual aid group or something like that, where they stock it, they man it, they're responsible for it. And they always make them look really fun and everything like that. But it's not something I want the city to take on. However, the Guatemalan Mayan Center was going to provide their own fridge for their community. And they wanted to make sure they did everything right. So they did check with code and they're not allowed. So I followed up with, and it's not just community fridges that aren't allowed. I don't think any outdoor refrigerator is allowed, which is surprising to me because people have those backyard kitchens and, you know, like, I think there's a lot of backyards that have, I know for a fact, last weekend, I saw quite a few backyards on my fluffing journey. And people do like to have refrigeration in outdoor spaces. So they are gaining in popularity. If you look at the state of Florida, these are the ones that have actually like registered on the community fridge network. I think Guatemalan Mine Center is just trying to quietly provide it for their own community, but you can see like they're starting to happen in South Florida, on the West Coast. It's pretty blank up here where we are. But I would like to ask staff to look into what it would take to allow this for the Guatemalan Mine Center and just to revisit outdoor refrigerators in general. I know we're talking about, I don't know if this is related to like food trucks and cottage vending. It's food and it's part of our code, but I don't know the best way to move forward or get closure on this. So I just wanted to hear thoughts from my colleagues.
Well, there's certainly a need.
The thing I
Yeah.
liked about some of these too is that not only do they usually like house a fridge and maybe a small pantry, a lot of them also will have a message board too.
Mhm.
So that like, if, you know, we're talking about communication, how do we reach certain people that maybe don't follow our Facebook page,
Mhm.
and give them notices of stuff. So I think if we, if a local nonprofit wants to take this on, I'd like to support them the best way we can, and then we could use it to help with our communication efforts as well.
And along those lines, one of the things that we found out yesterday is a lot of this federal money is not just going to governments, it's also nonprofits can apply for it. So this might be a good thing to focus on with like either Guatemalan Center or somebody else, church maybe.
Mhm.
But there's, again, we got to find out more about, Miss Davis is going to take care of that for us. Okay, I mean, if there's a way to do it, I certainly think there's a lot of extra food they got. It made me cry. I was at Target a few weeks ago and a woman in front of me, she had taken a package of pork chops and at the counter, she said, you know, I don't want these. So I said, I'll go put them back. She goes, no, we have to throw them out.
Mhm.
I was like, what?
Yeah, and when you look at something like this picture here, you see it's like a lot of the ways that these are going. It's not just like I'm not taking things from my kitchen as a resident and donating it. It's bulk food that is healthier. I think the drive behind the idea of a community fridge is that we give out all the dry foods and like the non-perishable items. And
No, I mean, we have, like on Saturday mornings, we have that over at in my neighborhood, the church, they have an amazing food giveaway. The thing, you know, of course, when you talk about something like this, the concerns that pop up are maintenance of it, you know, rats, bugs. You know, we have to, if it's gonna happen, it's gotta happen in a way that somebody like, I mean, our little libraries are meticulously taken care of. And they
Right.
couldn't work if they weren't. So that would just be one of the things we need to pay attention to.
Right,
Or
and
somebody would need to pay attention to.
I don't think this will be like resident driven like that. It seems more like we have the Helping Hands for Haiti group. We have the Guatemalan Mayan Center. We have food pantries. It feels
Mhm.
like something that would just be like added on to existing.
Madam Mayor?
Yep.
I couldn't figure out how to put my hand sign up. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
What we can do is, if the Guatemalan Center is interested in doing this, we can connect with them to find out what their plan is and how they propose to carry out this program. And then we can work from there. It seems very interesting, but I do, you know, I appreciate what you said, Mayor. If it was a citywide type of effort, that would be concerning to make sure that we had some control so that it would not become a hazard in the community. But we certainly welcome connecting with the Guatemalan Center representative to see what their plans are, and then we can then work with that.
Great.
Thank you. And Kim, number 3?
I was just wondering, obviously you're not here locally, so I doubt.
I'm heading back to reality tomorrow.
Okay, I just got a voicemail from Todd. I guess he called Monday, but I just now listened to it, and it sounds like he is planning a candlelight vigil for tonight. And I didn't know if anybody else
I
had heard
responded
about
to
it.
him, I called him and I said, you know, I'm out of town, and I said, you know, I wish you well, and he was gonna, I didn't know what his plan was, and he said he planned to do this more than once.
Okay,
So I don't, and he knows I'm not in town, so I've spoken with him.
okay, and are you going, McVoy, Commissioner? Okay,
Madam
Carmen,
Mayor?
Ms. Davis has her hand up.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up, Commissioner Stokes. I did get an email yesterday forwarded to me from Mr. Todd concerning that. And so I did refer him to staff because there are certain procedures that need to be followed in order to organize that. Because so we were aware of the date.
Mm,
And so, like I said, we just got a less than 24-hour notice regarding his plan to have it. So I referred him to Lauren and Jamie, Public Works, to see if they can pull it off in such a short time.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it is,
So it
that's
does
one thing when
require
people
staff
don't-
time, so we would have preferred more notice. So we can.
Yeah,
assist
and that's what
that
people
way.
don't realize when we, let's let, you know, the city should do something as though you can just do it without a procedure. And thank you for reminding us of the procedure.
so I am curious about when something's just like a citizen-led pop-up event versus like an official, like
Mhm.
at the Cultural Plaza, can you just say, hey, friends, meet me here at this time and date, and we're all gonna, versus like, okay, I need to
Get that
get
before.
city staff involved and we
Right.
need,
Well,
all these
it
other
really
things.
depends on the request. He requested certain things. which
Okay.
Require
Oh.
city staff. So
Okay.
He
that's,
did?
that's, yes.
Did?
Yes,
Oh, not such a pop-up then.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's interesting.
Lauren, did you have any comment about it?
I was just gonna kind of give a brief overview of kind of like what we consider an event and special events. So
Thank
if it's just a small group of people who are coming to use the park leisurely for just like a family gathering or just like a hangout, that doesn't technically trigger a special event permit. But what we say is if it's going to be what we would consider an organized event, which just would fall under, you know, typically we ask for at least 2 weeks notice. It would require the special event permit process. Insurance would be required, and then they would really need to pay for the permit, the staff to work it, and the electricity that's being requested. So from a staff standpoint, these pop-ups, while small, are often a little bit of a hindrance because we have a very limited staff. So like tonight, I'm gonna have to take a look at staff schedule to see if I can even have anybody there. But typically, this would require a special event permit because it's an organized event. I hope
Well,
that clarifies it.
It's
Kind of,
organ-
sort of,
loosely.
kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
I think I'm with Kim on this one. You know, hey, I have, you know, I want to do something to, you know, benefit, you know, we care about the people in the Ukraine. Let's all meet down at Cultural Plaza, bring candles and sing a song and do a thing. We're not asking for anything from the city. I mean, what happens? I mean, do we get arrested
So,
for unlawful assembly?
If you, technically, you would have to have a permit because it's an organized event. If you didn't need anything from the city, there are case-by-case events where we can work with you guys. But like in particular, this event is asking for electricity, which means I need to send someone out to make sure that it's
Oh.
turned on.
No, see, that's
And
different. yeah.
that we do typically charge for. But I would be more than happy to sit down with you guys to kind of go over our special event rules and regulations. They're very lengthy, so there's definitely no time today, but I would be more than happy to explain why it triggers an event permit and what doesn't, and all the ins and outs of that.
Because one
I-
thing that I've been watching is that I've been really happy about is the Sunday afternoon music in the park thing, which is kind of an
That
example of
we
what we're
partnered
talking-
with them. So they
Okay.
have a permit because the city was a
Okay.
partner in that event.
Okay,
I-
and they're not asking, they don't ask for anything, I don't think.
Power, and we have staff
Um,
there.
You do, okay.
And
The
I
city just-
I really would like us to look at that, because I think as a city, again, part of what we're about is wanting citizen participation in events. And I would definitely like us to make sure that we do not put too much in the way of obstacles. I understand the situation if there's a definite need for city staff, but let's not generate that need if it's not needed. At this point, there are sound systems that are battery powered that
Mhm.
you could do lights that are battery powered. You could do a lot of things and not need, and the amount of juice that we use from the city is so small, I don't think it's worth, unless somebody's bringing in a rock band sound system or something, that's different. But I would like us to review that and make sure that we are not putting undue obstacles in the way of,
Right.
Madam Mayor, we can schedule a presentation of our policy and go from there.
Sounds great. Thank you. Always with the solution, Madam Davis.
All right, those were my 3 things.
Thank you. Anything else? I've been away since we escaped on Sunday. Just renting a little house up here with nothing to do. It's wonderful. Went to Marjorie
Madam Mayor?
Kennett Hall. Yeah,
I do have a few updates
Please.
and
Yep.
some items that would be of interest, Christy and I. One item is regarding, of course, we've talked so much about the concerns of rent increases
Mhm.
and the amount of it, the proportion of rent increase has been a concern for our community. And so one of the things that Christy brought to my attention, that there are other communities making an ordinance or increasing or changing their ordinance regarding the notice to increase rent. And so I can turn it over to Christy, who can give you an update on that. And I think this will be a help to the tenants in our city to assist them during this process that we're unfortunately going through.
Great. Thank you. Christy?
Yeah, good morning. Actually, I can't take credit for it because Commissioner McVoy sent us the link to the Miami-Dade ordinance that they just
That's
passed.
right. That's right.
So we looked into it, and essentially what they do is they've done 2 things. Under Florida statute, if you don't have a lease, there's a specific time frame that the landlord has to provide notice to terminate that lease. If it's a month-to-month lease, the termination notice is only 15 days.
Horrible.
So what Miami-Dade did back in actually 2021 was they extended that to 30 days. So it gives the tenant a little bit more notice. The most recent change they made was to increase that to 60 days. So it gives the tenant a little bit even more notice. The other thing that they did most recently was regarding, as Carmen brought up, the increase in rent. And they created a notice period that if you're going to increase the rent more than 5%, you have to provide this 60-day notice, which gives the tenant a little bit more time to decide whether he or she wants to accept the increase in rent, find another place to live, or negotiate with the landlord to see if the landlord will bring that down. I did reach out to Lakeisha Miles with the Legal Aid Society, and she is highly supportive of it. She said it will help a lot of their clients that are facing an eviction in the city. She's actually recommended the same ordinance to Mac Bernard at the county commission level. So it might be something that the county pursues as well, which is what they did in Miami-Dade. They made it countywide, but that may take some time. So knowing that this is a high interest item, we've already started preparing one for the city. And if there's consensus, we can get it on the next agenda to bring it forward.
I have a couple questions. Can an ordinance override a statute?
Well, interestingly enough, the Florida Attorney General did an opinion back in '94 and said that the area of landlord tenant has not been totally preempted by the state. So cities could make something more restrictive within their jurisdiction. So based on that Attorney General opinion, that's how Miami-Dade is doing this.
And
That's great.
Somebody suing? I mean, is anybody challenging? Here's the question. Because sometimes we don't jump on the bandwagon until the lawsuit in some other town has been done. Are there challenges?
I'm not aware of a challenge yet. Certainly, I haven't heard anything about what they did in 2021 being challenged to extend the time frame if you don't have a lease.
Mhm.
I think the bigger challenge is going to be you've got an attorney general opinion out there, which of course isn't the law, but it's highly persuasive in court proceedings. So there also, I was looking at this, looking at the bill that they passed on business damages for municipal and county ordinances. If anyone felt that this created a business damage, they would have to provide us notice that they would sue us under that statute, and then we would have an opportunity to review the ordinance and withdraw it if we thought there was the realistic chance that this would impact them. And I think the business damages that have to show it's more than 5% to their bottom line. So it does give us a notice period. So if we received notice that someone was going to challenge it through that new statute, it would give us an opportunity to withdraw it.
Mhm.
I have a question about, I know we were limited on time. I support this. I do wonder, I've seen a lot of people I respect throughout the state kind of relate this almost to price gouging. So like, when does like the business's bottom line conflict with the public good and taking advantage of a situation? Because if they've been able to maintain their business for X amount of years, and all of a sudden they're seeing an opportunity, they increase their rent 50%. I mean, they can still do that. They just have to give their tenant notice, like 2
Right.
months. It doesn't seem like it's really going to be damaging to their business. It's just going to delay them a month in the efforts of allowing their tenants the time they need, because it's not like the tenants can quickly turn around in 15 days and say, oh, look, there's another place down the street that I can
And
move into.
I agree. And to add to that, I'm one of the probably few landlords that does month to month with no lease. I don't like leases. I think they restrict everybody. And I'm only required to give 15 days notice, which I think is criminal. I give 60 days notice anyway, because
Good.
you can't, and I don't raise my rents. It's ridiculous. So I wish I owned more. So I think these are, good approaches, but I don't think what's happening now, one of the things with the housing market, and we're all reading a lot about this, corporations are, there's no like, hey, here's the landlord, you look nice, shake your hand, move in. Now you have to fill out a corporation and you got to have, I think it's a great idea. I don't know how it's really going to affect much, but if we can do it, I absolutely support it.
Yeah, I think for legal aid, what it does, it just gives them one more legal argument, and ideally buys the tenant more time so that they could find new accommodations.
Which is so difficult these days because every corporation has jumped on, I'm going to make as much money on the sweat of workers. It's terrible. It's a terrible situation. I'm sure we all get emails every day. Do you know of a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment for less than $1,500? It's a rough situation.
Yeah,
So
I would also, obviously, since I brought it to the city manager's attention, and thank you, Christy, for doing the research on it. Very helpful. I'd like us to move forward, and I recognize that it certainly doesn't solve all of the issues by any means, but
it's something.
it's something.
Yeah.
And I was intrigued by what Christy said of the Attorney General's ruling in '94, and wonder whether that leaves us any other openings around. I somewhat along the lines of what Commissioner Stokes said, that it just really seems like if landlords, whether corporations or otherwise, if their expenses have gone up by 5% or 10% and their rent that they're charging goes up by 50%,
Not
it
right.
seems to me like, I think price gouging is not an unfair description of that. And anything that we can do, even if it's no more than simply shining light on
Right.
who is doing that, I am very much in favor of us doing so.
So we have a consensus.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
It's a great meeting today. I feel like we've covered a lot of good stuff.
Yep.
Yes, and
Um,
also as an update, I know we were working on updating or making some changes to our noise ordinance. I know that's an issue of concern. And so I just received an update from the city attorneys that they have created a draft and staff is reviewing the draft. So I wanted to give you an update concerning the noise ordinance. So you'll hear more from us concerning that in the near future.
Thank you.
Great.
Anything else, Ms. Davis?
That's it.
I just got a pop-up from Google Chrome, South Florida rent hikes, index shows how much we're overpaying. It's in the Sun Sentinel. I mean, it's in the paper every day.
It
it's
is. I think Tampa just passed a tenants rights ordinance recently as well. There are places that are taking some leadership on this issue. I know it's minimal what we can do, but I'm glad that we're
Well,
willing
it's
to do what we
something,
can.
sure. And I had talked a while back, and I'm a little embarrassed. I think that we should have, I'm embarrassed because I haven't done it and I haven't pursued it. I would like to have a handbook. Now you're a tenant, now you're a landlord in Lake Worth. And it's, I know our staff is really stretched out right now, so Ms. Davis, I'm not gonna ask staff to do that, but I think in a medium, I think there should be when, you get your electric turned on, you're a tenant, here's what you need to know, here's what the law is, and for the landlords too. Because then, and for them to sign off that they've received it, because it's very hard when a landlord who lives in Illinois says, well, I didn't know the blah, blah, blah. Well, you've got, and this is what I've talked about, and this I would like to put in the ordinance without the handbook, is that any landlord, any rental license has to have a person listed who can be on property, on site within 24 hours.
Right.
Agree.
Madam Attorney? Do you see a problem?
No, I don't see a problem.
Okay,
I wonder if we could partner with someone like Legal Aid that has maybe the bones of some sort of tenants
Could be.
education, and then have staff tailor it specifically to
Yeah.
our.
Yeah, I've been trying to work on it in my spare time, but I don't have any spare.
But there's
time.
people out there we can enlist for help, Betty.
Yes, I can reach back out to Ms. Miles and not only talk with her about that, but also talk with her about other opportunities she may see in line with this ordinance that we could do a little bit more to help out some of the tenants.
Yeah, but I think having a person within it's crucial. It's crucial.
And thank you, Christy. It might be worth reaching out to Mayor Cava Levine in Miami. They may have done some research into this too.
Okay.
Anything else, Ms. Davis?
That's it for now, Madam Mayor.
Ms. Godot, anything?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Liberty, does anybody else? Lauren, we have a lot of people. Brian, Nellie, Juan, Keith, Lauren, Ed. Does anybody want to? Melissa, anything we should know about?
We had an election yesterday.
I know. I congratulated the winner, Mr.
We
Diaz.
were very surprised because Shayla and I always go to every polling location at every election. And we were very surprised at the turnout yesterday because the supervisor elections office anticipated 10% turnout of from the turnout of the March 8th election. And it looks like it's pretty close to what we had. So that's
no, it was
encouraging.
It's a sad turnout for a municipal election, but in terms of our little thing, it was good. It was good.
I know
Mr.
people
Liberty,
don't realize how important a municipal election is. If any election is being voted in, that
This
is
is
for
the one.
sure the one people should be participating in.
It's our day-to-day life, Mr. Liberty, I see your hand is up.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I do have an item which the commission should be aware of. We do have an electric contingency in place right now. We have an operating situation. One of our three, I see you reaching in to listen. Am I coming across too faint right now?
I just, you're a little quick. You're a little quick.
Okay, I'll move a little closer to the microphone.
Oh, much better.
We have had a failure of one of the three main transformers that feed the city. It's a transformer referred to as TD70. The number is not important to the group, but it's one of the three. It's located at Canal Station. This is a transformer which has had some problems in recent months. We had identified the issue during a preventive maintenance inspection. We had made some repairs while we ordered parts. We had a subsequent failure of what's called a load tap changer. We call it the LTC, but it's a device in the transformer that allows us to adjust the output voltage that our customers see. It happened Saturday night into Sunday morning. We subsequently took it out of service. There were no outages to customers. Some experienced flickering lights.
Right.
and that affected about 126 customers.
Mhm.
They were all notified that repairs were being made and their service was corrected by switching. So we're currently carrying the load on 2 of the 3 transformers. Those 2 transformers are located in the main yard, and those transformers are running between about 62 to 75 or 76% of their capacity. It would be very, very difficult for us to operate through the summer without the 3rd transformer. And it would put the city in a very, very dire situation in terms of possible rolling blackouts or extended outages. So we do have parts on order. We've been searching the country. We have located some parts in the country. Some parts are located internationally. And we're attempting to get those shipped here as quickly as possible. The earliest arrival date would be around April 15th. I have asked that air freight be considered as opposed to marine shipping, if that's necessary to get some parts here. Once the parts arrive, there's probably about a week's worth of work. So realistically speaking, we're probably looking at it sometime around the end of April before that transformer can be returned to service. We are still doing additional inspections within the transformer to see if there's any other damage. This transformer was installed in 1982, so it's now 40 plus years old and has had issues over its life. Fortunately, we caught this during a preventive inspection. When we got into this situation once before, this was back in 2019, and I think it probably happened a number of times many years ago. We were fortunate to have JEA, Jacksonville Electric Authority, allowed us to step into their shoes and buy a transformer that they had in production. What had happened in 2019 was we lost a transformer in our main yard, what we call TPT-L1. Those are just internal designators. And that transformer was unrepairable. The reason I bring this up is that JEA helped us out at that time, allowed us to step into their shoes, buy a transformer that they had in production. It cost us about $1 million. We had it shipped here and we installed it in the main yard and we were able to get through the summer. That work was completed just ahead of the summer heat wave. In this particular case, there is no other transformer available other than JEA, again, has what's referred to as a mobile transformer. So it's a substation on wheels. This is obviously something that's very, very large. You're looking at something that's probably in the range of 35 to 50 plus tons. It's built onto a trailer and it moves with very special permits and escorts. They are willing to share it with us if we need it. And they're working out internally what the commercial terms might be if we decided to explore that seriously. I am considering that as a contingency in the event that the parts don't arrive or that the damage is more extensive than we've been able to see so far. But this does put us in a very difficult position every day because we really need at least 2 to operate the system, and that's pushing them to their limits. If we lose an additional transformer in this category, we would be lights out on a rotating basis or for certain parts of the city for some undetermined amount of time.
Would it be prudent to think about getting that mobile one before anybody else gets it?
Yes, and we are already in discussions with JEA, which began yesterday and went into the evening, and again early this morning, about the availability of that unit and the commercial terms into which they might make it available to us. I'll also point out that as part of SHRIP, we had planned to rebuild this station. So two new transformers are actually on order. That's already been approved. And they're on order. They're in construction. The earliest that they will arrive is mid-September. They are being produced or manufactured here domestically in the country, but they are in construction. But mid-September is the earliest that transformer could arrive here. I believe the other one is in the October or November timeframe. They're going into the new yard rebuild at Canal that we're underway with right now. The engineering's in process, but we ordered the materials ahead of time.
So I have another question. If that's the case and with the transformer that we're going to fix we're gonna replace in September anyway, is it worth fixing or should we get the,
It is likely worth fixing. We'll keep it as a spare long-term. It'll have value and
Okay.
it's best to keep it. So the current thinking that we're proceeding as, right now is we're sourcing the parts. We've had our team working around the clock since Sunday, trying to find parts, not just the inspection company, repair company called NewCat, which is doing the field work for us, but also our own staff. We have located some parts domestically. So I said, and internationally, there's parts in Germany that we're going to have delivered here as quickly as possible. So we are going to go ahead and repair what we have. Some of the parts were on order because we knew a month ago that we had issues. We had made some temporary repairs and put it back in service while we waited for the parts. So those parts were already on order. The additional parts are now in the works. So we should repair the one that we have. And what I'm thinking of is as a contingency to have the mobile substation here as well. Should the repairs not be completed in time to meet the summer load, or should we have some subsequent problem through the summer? Once we get the new substation built sometime in the spring of 23, we can then consider releasing the mobile. So we're working through those contingencies right now with the team, trying to figure out what's the most logical way to do this and give ourselves some backup, and we'll see what we can do. I'll point out that there is a spare transformer at Canal, which was removed from service, my understanding, a decade or more ago, and it was rebuilt. But unfortunately, at that time, for whatever reason, they did not include, or they actually removed what's called a load tap changer, which is the device that allows you to vary the output voltage. So having a transformer by itself is not of much use unless you can actually regulate the voltage that you're delivering to the customers. Because it could put you in a position where you're delivering significantly higher voltage or lower voltage than the customers need, which could have some downstream negative effects on the customers. So this particular feature of the transformer, this bolt-on device, if you will, is very important to be able to control that voltage and power quality. And we would not want to put this in service without having a load tap changer.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
I want to thank Mr. Liberty and his team for being very proactive in their preventive maintenance and how they caught the concern of that transformer and his plans on A, B, and C plans in case we have to move to do alternative methods and to continue our services to our community. So I want to thank the team for that. And we can give future updates at the next utility meeting, which is on the 29th. So we will certainly provide you an update and keep you alert to all the progress in this effort.
thank you. Yeah, people have been talking about the flickering lights out west of town, and it's nice to know that we know why and that we're working on getting it fixed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
Mr.
Ed, for
Liberty.
bringing that up. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And just to let, if the customers are listening and representatives are listening. So when we became aware of that flickering light issue Saturday night into Sunday morning, we began the troubleshooting. Because of the automation that we'd installed in the system, we were able to isolate that transformer and do all of the switching without having to call in personnel on an emergency basis. We then also had ENCO follow up with phone calls to the customers who had called, expressing a concern over the flickering lights. So we did close the loop with the customers as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right. Anybody have anything else? We're at a little after 10. Any parting thoughts? Gay Pride weekend this weekend. Now this is Sarah had, because of my mobility issues, Sarah had offered to, use the golf cart because we're walking, is my understanding, on Sunday. So what we're going to do, my sister is going to take Sarah's golf cart and decorate it and follow us walking, so that any one of us that wants to take a break or get something out of a cooler, like, I don't know, Kim, if your kids are coming, they could
They
ride on the
are.
golf.
I was going to say, you might have Johnny on your lap.
Right, that's
Maddie.
what I was saying, yeah. I mean, I can walk part of the time, but it was, she was concerned because, it's about a mile before it's done. So we're gonna have my sister loves a good parade. She's a very good decorator. So we're gonna have a golf cart following us so that all of us can take a little break if we need to. And we'll have a cooler with water and some other beverages in there. So I just wanted, Kim, I was thinking about you, especially because of your daughters.
I was thinking I'm going to be carrying
Right.
Yeah,
Most of the parade, but
Well, you'll have a lot of help. People will carry your cute daughters. And now, and with Sarah's, because of Sarah's generous offer, we're gonna have a golf cart to follow. us.
awesome.
Yep. Looking forward to it. It's a big,
Yeah.
big weekend. Anything else, anybody? Chris?
yeah, just one comment to follow up on Ed's one. I can imagine that Ed and the folks at the utility are definitely concerned and nervous in the situation where you have your power running through 3 and now you're down to 2. Think of it as a plane with engines. It's not a fun thing to have one major thing down. What
Right.
came to mind as Ed was talking about it was something, I don't remember how long ago, but it was in Alaska, and I can't remember if it was Juneau or Anchorage, but they had a somewhat analogous situation that their main tie line to a hydrologic, to a dam that was their main source went down, and then their backup was diesel, which was much more expensive. And the whole town, the utility raised the issue with the town. The town went into conservation mode so strongly, it was in the winter, that I called up the utility about it because I thought it was interesting enough. And they said, we're concerned that people are so dedicated to try and help reduce loads. We're concerned about people getting too cold in their homes, a safety feature. And it for me, it opened my eyes that if there's communication between the utility, which we have as a municipal utility, I would say if we're at danger of running too high capacity on the 2 transformers, it might be worth communicating something that to our community and say, hey, if you adjust your thermostat by 1 degree, that can help reduce our load very significantly as we come into the warmer part of the year. It's worth thinking about.
Hopefully it'll be fixed by then, but yeah, no, that's good. Okay.
So let me add to that. That is a very a viable alternative. What we already have in place are what we call under frequency load shedding, which are FRCC and SERC mandated procedures, which would allow us to start up alternative generation. But certainly calling for customers to reduce consumption is something that is done regularly around the country. So during peak periods of time, hopefully we don't get to the point where we have to do that, but that is something that is in the toolbox, if you will, of potential things that we could do if we got into a summer situation where we were pushing the peak. We have the opportunity to run generation. It would require us to start up our S3 boiler on the 26 kV, what we call the 26 kV bus. That's a 1965, 1968 vintage piece of equipment that does still operate. We did have the operating department start that up yesterday, what we call put fire in it, light it off, and check out the systems. If we get into mid-April and we think that this is going to be likely that it could happen, we're probably going to be starting that up daily and raising the operating temperature. So if we need it, it'll respond quicker. But to the commissioner's points in terms of a public appeal to reduce consumption, that is a very viable thing to do. It's not going to get us all of the megawatts that we would need, but it certainly every bit would help at that point. So that's something that we would resort to if we needed to.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Christopher. Okay, we've run 11 minutes over. We've never done this before. So I'm going to go. I've got a little lawyering to do before I can vacation. I will see. Where are we supposed to line up on Sunday? And what does anybody know? Have we been given our directions? No, apparently.
I believe the meeting place is PNC Bank on
Oh, okay.
Lucerne.
Okay. Great. All right. Well,
I
thank you,
can forward
everybody.
it. There was an email from Lauren Slayton. I can email it to everyone if you'd like.
That'd be great. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right,
Thank-
everybody. Thank you so much. Great meeting. Ever onward. See you on Sunday.
Very good.
Take care, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Good
Thank you,
day.
staff. You're the best. Thank you.